Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a Fury Warrior PvP guide video for Season 3 of Shadowlands, patch 9.2. And for a quick note, I promised to make a guide video for all the classes that I'm actually maining this season. It was a warlock, shaman, enhancement and elemental, a warrior, mostly fury, but I will also make a guide for arms to perform, and also DK. I main a bit H-Pala because sometimes the queues are very long, or at least the people that want to join don't really want to play healer. So that's why I sometimes play healer, but I'm not a main, so I'm not going to make a video about paladin except if I find a good build to share. But let's jump right in. I'm going to start with, of course, the talent section, the gear section, legendaries, of course, and covenant. Multiple choices that you can have, and also comps that you can play in 2v2 and 3v3. What is your role inside that comp, for example, and also, of course, rotation and the tier sets explained. And it will be a bit of a long video, but you will see some timestamps if you would like to jump out and jump in the video. It is then possible. So let's jump right in. So now you see my character with my little mug. I like that mug, of course, feels good. The new weapons of the jailer, Raid Finder though. I don't have time to actually perform in raids. So now let's start with the talent section, and we will start with the first row. You will see Fury Warriors have much more choices in talents and PvP talents, and it's more fun to actually have different builds for different situations. I play with sudden death most of the time. I would say 99% of the time, because I like the execute proc. I also like it how it actually procs more often as a fury ward than with arms. I think it's static. It's a static proc chance, so maybe just mentally that I feel that it's more procking, but it feels like it, so it's enjoyable. It also has good damage, also good rage generation, and also when you are in recklessness, it can burst pretty heavily. With the state of the game at the moment. Fresh meat, I like it too. Bloodthirst enrages you the first time you strike a target. That's a bit random, since it will only hit one time you're in range, and then if you're still in combat it will not like be always the case, but you have also a 50% more chance to trigger in rage. If you don't like procs from sudden death, you can also play fresh meat, but I will always recommend sudden death. War Machine is a no-go. Double time. You have a big choice to make at level 25. I play with double time 40% of the time if I have to actually put a number. I would say impending victory I play it often in twos if I'm doing double DPS, or if I feel like I don't need a stun to kill my target and I prefer to have a heal, which is not often the case if you're playing with a healer. But you can do double TPS with impending victory, and then it might be actually interesting to survive. And then the stun is less likely to make you survive instead of a heal, and that heal is pretty substantial. You have also Stormbolt if you have like no stuns in your team. Always nice to have Stormbolt by the hand. But to be honest, double time is enormous, especially with the PvP talent Warbringer. It gives consistent damage. Also, I recommend to play it versus casters, like Frost Mage, Distrolock, very good talent. I feel like Stormbolt is a bit unnecessary if you're playing with, let's say, a Holy Priest. The Holy Priest can stun your kill target, and then you have a better time to actually kill people. Frenzy. I play most of the time Frenzy because you want to stack haste, and actually with the amount of rage that you are generating with your tier set, with your crushing blows, with your raging blows, with everything, you have actually a big uptime on rampage, and you can like increase your haste like substantially. Like it is 8% plus you're actually stacking haste with your gear, which makes then a snowball effect where you actually always are hitting your target with spells every time. And it's not like arms where you're waiting a like a bit of rage, or you're waiting for execute proc, or you try to stack those mortal strike effects on the target. Now you can just have uptime on rampage, which is also uptime on your slaughterhouse, which is always a benefit. Also, more haste means more rage generation because you are hitting faster with your auto attacks. Massacre wouldn't recommend, although if you're playing Venthyr, which I would not recommend as a Fury Warrior, you would then play with Massacre. Onslaught, I feel like it's overkill. Don't really need it because you are actually pressing Raging Blow most of the time, and Rampage you don't even have that much time to press Bloodthirst, although it has like good damage and also good healing. 35 row, you have like actually three choices. You can play with Warpaint. Most of the time you will play Warpaint in trees, but in twos you can sometimes play with Bounding Stride if you feel you are going to get kited and you want to have uptime, let's say on a Frost Mage, let's say on a Warlock. I would always play with Bounding Stride because it gives you a 30-second heroic leap, plus 2 charges, plus Warbringer, plus I would say another PvP talent that I'm going to show you right now, like after this section. And it gives you also movement speed. Again, people just don't rely on the tools that they have as a Fury Warrior, and this is the perfect example that actually Fury Warrior have a lot of tools to permit themselves to be more performing. And the same for arms actually. I feel like defensive stance is a bit of overkill. 10% less damage taken, 20% less damage done. I feel like it's not really super good, so I prefer to play Bounding Stride. Furious Charge. Sometimes I play it, but more often it will be in RBGs or in BGs. In twos it's a bit different. You like the charge, it actually heals you a lot, but with dampening it becomes less and less interesting and proficient. I think if you're playing double time you can then pick Furious Charge, but it would be the only time when I'm picking Furious Charge. Most of the time I still play Warpaint. Gives you a defensive stance most of the time, so it's a win-win. Cruelty, always Cruelty, because you are actually trying to do a Raging Blow, Crushing Blow build. Because your tier set also improves your Raging Blow, and also your talents improve it, and also it gives you good uptime, and especially with Reckless Abandon, that I'm going to discuss right now, gives you also a improved Raging Blow, which is Crushing Blow, which actually hits like a truck. Sometimes you can double crit those hits, and it can do 12k, 6k, or 12k, 5k, and someone gets deleted with that. So actually very good. Also, it has chance to instantly reset on its own, so it has insane synergy with your whole build. Rampage, Frothing Berserker is not that good. Like, actually not that good. And Thief, you have no problem with rage generation, and you should never pick that. I feel like they should rework that talent because it's actually super bad. The 45 row, you will always play Bladestorm. The simple reason is you have a legendary that will improve, firstly, your damage output. It's also a CC break. I mean, a root break, a slow break. It also gives you Reckless Abandon, not Reckless Abandon, I mean Recklessness. And it can also give you Avatar, which is also extra damage. And Bladestorm in Fury is actually a good spell. It does a lot of damage for 3 seconds of cast time. Why not? Very good. In the 50 row you have like 2 good choices and a third one that I would never pick. It would be Reckless Abandon. Recklessness generates 50 rage and greatly empowers Bloodthirst and Raging Blow. Raging Blow becomes Crushing Blow, and Bloodthirst, I don't know the name anymore, but often than not it's worth pressing. But mostly you are going to spam Crushing Blows, and I would even say above Rampage, because Rampage does a lot of damage, but Crushing Blows give you a mini charge, which means that you are actually unkiteable, except if they are actually rooting you or slowing you or trying to stun you, fear you, whatever. But you have like a lot of reasons to pick this. Also, it synergizes with your tier set because your 4 set gives you recklessness, and that recklessness is actually reckless abandon, just so it gives you rage and also improves his towards crushing blow. So you will always pick this talent, in my opinion. But you also can take anger management, and then your recklessness uptime is a lot higher, like a lot higher. You can also then switch your legendary towards another legendary, and might be interesting then to play that legendary. If you're playing another legendary, you can also play Dragon Roar, but I feel like the damage is quite underwhelming if it's not critting. If it's critting, then yeah, it's interesting to one-shot someone, but it doesn't happen that often. PvP talents. Now, that's the interesting part. I see a lot of players like ignoring some PvP talents because they want to play always Slaughterhouse, always Warbringer, always Enduring Rage. But sometimes Enduring Rage is not needed because your uptime is quite low, so your Enrage will not get extended as much as you would want. So what I would change is often Warbringer or Enduring Rage, or if I'm doing twos and there is no one with healing, I would then remove Slaughterhouse. If I'm playing double time, Warbringer stays because it's actual damage that you are going to provide for your team, for yourself, and for the whole match. Enduring Rage is quite nice, but it can be removed because it is a greedy talent, because there is a lot of good talents here. I'm going to discuss one by one. Death Sentence, I feel like it's not that good anymore since, first of all, Crushing Blows gives you a charge anyways. Also, Execute, you are not going to press Execute every time. Sometimes you're going to ignore pressing execute because execute is not the most damaging spell. It does a lot of damage, but it is not the most damaging spell, especially when you're recklessness. When you're actually in recklessness mode, you prefer to press crushing blow or rampage. Barbarian, I would only take it probably in RBGs, but I don't take it in arenas. Battle Trance, often than not I don't play it, because I feel like it's a greedy heal for yourself. Maybe in twos, but even then I prefer to be a nuisance to the enemy team, or a nuisance, or a utility bot for my team. And I feel like Battle Trance is only for yourself. Blood Rage. Blood Rage is the best spell for Fury Warriors. If you are playing versus Frost Mage, if you're playing versus a hunter, like a marksmanship hunter, like a survivor hunter, like for example a BM hunter, something that can slow you, something that can root you, anything, Blood Rage is the savior for yourself, because then you just ask your healer to dispel you whenever you want and not whenever he feels that you need. When you have Blood Rage on CD, then you can ask a dispel. If you have Blood Rage up, you can then just press Blood Rage, get 40 rage over 4 seconds, so it's not lost. You will lose some health, but that's not a problem because you have a healer, and also you can heal yourself with Bloodthirst. But the best part is you are clearing all roots and snares on yourself. So assassination rogues that try to slow you, you can remove it. So whenever they are going for Shiv, you can remove it. Whenever a hunter tries to binding shot you, you remove it. If you have a Frost Nova and he thinks he is safe for Polymorph, you remove it and then you pummel, for example. Or you're going ham. There's loads of good things about Blood Rage. I play it like 80%, 70% of the time, depending on the matchups I'm playing. Of course, Frost Mage Distro, it's a no-brainer. I always play it over Enduring Rage. Death Wish is more of a BG RPG talent. I never played it in arena. You could play it in arena, but it's very, very greedy. Also, it's 15 seconds. You could lose track of it, and also you take more. Like no, yeah, you take also more damage. So I feel like it's a bit too greedy for me. Master and Commander, never played as Fury because you don't have space for it. Versus melee, or big melees, I would say, like for example a Arms Warrior, a Frost DK for sure. I play with Disarm, but often than not, at this current state of the meta, you don't really see a lot of Frost Mages, Frost DKs. You don't also want to always disarm Assassination Rogues, and because their burst is always on people that are actually stunned. You can play Disarm if you want, but often not. The moment when you're going to disarm the Assassination Rogue, the burst is already going. they can just AFK and you are still going to die. So I feel like disarm is not the best. And demolition, I always play it in twos if I'm playing versus a warlock. If you play versus a warlock healer, pick demolition because you can always remove dark pact. If you're removing dark pact, they are naked. They get screwed. They are dead. Especially if you're playing with double time plus demolition, that guy is not going to run away first. Secondly, they are going to get wrecked. And thirdly, they are dead. I mean, you want to kill warlocks. Warlocks, they should be like scared of fury warriors, and you want that. So please take demolition. So let's talk about the current talents I put in. Slaughterhouse, 40% healing reduction. You want that. The more uptime you have, the more difficult it is for healers to heal their target or themselves. And that's also the reason that you really don't want to switch all the ways from target. Of course, when it's going out, so the debuff is gone, you can always change target and of course try to pressure something else. Or when resto druid is going to overgrowth a heal like his teammate, you then switch on him or you switch on another teammate, and then you can put insane pressure because they don't have hots to heal that. Especially the scenario ward, always follow the scenario ward, which makes it super hard for them to heal it. So they will use a lot of mana, or they're going to use a lot of CDs and overcommit on CC to stop you, and then you can just reflect for Cyclone, for example, and then they're screwed. Warbringer, very strong when you're playing double time. If you're not playing double time, I could still play Warbringer because I like the extra root, but also the extra damage that it can provide. Sometimes it can crit for 10k. It's free damage, especially if you're like getting super big uptime. It can be impressive. But if I'm not playing Warbringer, often than not I will play Blood Rage, or I will play Disarm, or I will play something else. Like, especially versus melee, you don't really need double time. Often, what I say about double time is, if you're playing versus casters, any casters, double time is the go. And if you're playing versus double melee, I feel like double time is not that big of a deal, so you can play Stormbolt or Impending Victory if you feel you are going to be the target and you're going to get down or whatever, you know? It's always helpful to heal yourself. Anyways, Enduring Rage increases the enrage effect, so it's quite nice. And also, every time you're going to hit with Raging Blows, especially with your amount of haste, the amount of resets that you can have a perma enrage effect if you're playing versus melee. Often not, you will not have it versus casters, for example. Alright, this is the talent section. It was very long. I understand. Let's pick up the pace and go for the gear. And the best legendary for Fury at this very moment for me is Tormented Kings, because I like to have a lot more recklessness. The more recklessness that you can have, the better it is. And imagine if you're pressing recklessness and you get avatar, then you're going to delete someone. You're going to delete that person that is going to face versus you. He's going to say, oh my god, crap, man, I'm dead. And also, it's a good CC break. If you're going to recklessness while you are rooted, often not you will get Bladestorm or Avatar, so you're free to do whatever you want. And when you're pressing Bladestorm, you know the damage is going to be real. If it's Avatar, Bladestorm is going to hit like a truck. If it's recklessness, it's going to crit like a truck. And also you can stop it to then press Crushing Blow, Crushing Blow, Crushing Blow, and someone dies. So it's very good. You're also playing with Unity, of course, and I'm playing Necrolord. I'm going to explain why I prefer Necrolord. And the stats that you are going for is haste, 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 verse, haste, 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 and then you go for crit, most of the time crit, or you can also go for mastery. It's a bit split with me. I prefer to have a lot of haste, but for now I don't have much luck with my pieces. Also, when you're a 4-piece, you don't really have a lot of choices. But if you have weapons, you can go for crit instead of mastery, or you can go for mastery, and on your off pieces you can then choose between haste, crit, or mastery. I recommend haste. The more haste you have, the better it is, but you can also say, okay, 20% haste is enough, plus the rampage buff that you get from talents. You can then just go for crit or mastery. Or versatility, of course. My versatility is very low. My eye level is also quite low, but I'm going to grind a bit more Fury because I feel like I have a lot of success with it. I just need to find reliable teammates to play every time, and often than not I play with LFG, so those teammates just leave after a day or two. So that's about the gear. We can also discuss about legendaries that you can check or use. I don't like this Deathmaker because it's 15% buff for. Although the percent chance of applying it is very high. I don't like it. I prefer reliable legendaries where I feel like when I'm pressing it, I know I'm going to get it. You can also play Leaper, I guess. I don't play with it. Since I play double charge, I don't really need the heroic leap to have 3 charges. You can also play misshapen mirror, but I feel with the amount of cost that someone can have and produce, I feel like it's not going to help a lot. And I might try reckless defense, but I feel like the best defense is the offense, so you want to have Signet of Tormented Kings. You can also play with Necrolord or Kyrian. You can also play for the one-shot Night Fae, although this is the worst covenant that you can have in PvP. This is the second worst, and then you have like the Necrolord banner or the Spear of Bastion. I play with the Necrolord, I'm going to explain why. So here, as a Necrolord, I play with Plague Device and Marileth, and I have, of course, this road, I would say. So I still need to improve my eye level, but it's going to be alright. Rampage gives you a chance to refund a charge of Raging Blow, which is awesome because it's one of your most interesting abilities as Fury. You will do a lot of damage with that ability, so you want to reset it as much as you can. Of course, the shield is always welcome. Divers, the cooldown of enraged regeneration is reduced, which is good because it's a 20 minutes cooldown, 2 minutes cooldown if you're not taking this. So the lower it is, the better it is. You play with Depth of Insanity because you want our recklessness to last longer. It will also always last longer, so it's always a win-win. Always take it. I play with Inspiring Presence. But you also can play with Indelible Victory for the extra healing from Victory Rush, or the talent that you can Impending Victory if you want to heal yourself a bit more. You, of course, Ultimate Form, very useful. Veteran Repute, of course, the extra strength that you get is pretty noticeable. That's why it's interesting to go Necrolord. Not only the mastery, but also the speed and the strength that you get. And then you have another choice. You can play with Brutal Vitality. It's more for arms. And you can play with Disturb the Peace, which I like. It is going to reduce the AoE snare that you have, and this snare is pretty big. And it is also very annoying for the enemy team to actually um, deal with that. Of course, Kevin's Oozling, 6% extra damage for 40 seconds. It gives you plenty of time to kill your target. You can also play with Bloodthirst doing more damage at below the threshold, but I feel like you're not pressing that much Bloodthirst, so it's not really the best talent that you could have. You can also play with Cacophonous Roar if you feel like your fear is going to break too fast. And you also can play with Condensed Animasphere, but it's a boring conduit, so I'm not playing with that. Of course, you can play with Spear of Bastion, then it's the same with Askerion. You just need to have the same, but with the conduit from the Kyrian Spear. Let's talk about comps. About the comps that you can play in twos, you can play with a Fury Warrior, you can actually play double DPS. But then your double DPS should be a Red Warrior, Shadow Priest, a Boomkin, Enhancement Shaman is probably your best double DPS that you can play. And it's very enjoyable. The matches are going super fast. You will need to play Impending Victory if you're going for double DPS. Like, you have no choice. Or you can play double time with Furious Charge, but it depends. Actually, it can be interesting. It can be interesting, especially if you are going to go for Enraged Regeneration, Bloodthirst with Furious Charge. That can full heal you, probably. But, yeah, if you want to be the most performing state in twos, you should play with a Holy Priest. That's the best that you can play. Then you can play with Double Time or Stormbolt, and you're pretty safe for any danger. It's a very, very good spec Fury, especially in twos. It is probably not kiteable and unpillable for the enemy team. Depends about the comps, of course. But yeah, the most difficult comp that you can play versus is probably a rogue mage, because you don't have die by the sword for the rogue, and you will probably use your first like your heroic leap to try to kite the mage, which is sometimes deadly if you're kiting wrong. But it is actually interesting to play. In 3v3 you can play a Thundercleave with Elemental Shaman, although I think Elemental Shamans prefer to play with casters at this very moment. You can play with a mage. The same mages prefer to play other classes, but you can make it work. It's a PvE comp, a bit like it's always on the combust go that you're going to kill someone. And you will probably play Spear of Bastion if you're playing with a mage. You can play, of course, Turbo, which is probably the best comp at this very moment for Fury Warriors. You can play also with a Shadow Priest, can also work, but the Shadow Priest will lack the damage to actually kill targets, so you are the primary DPS in that comp. You can also play with a Red Warrior, Necrolord, they will like it, and yeah, you're there to protect the Red Warrior, but the Red Paladin, but the Red Paladin will probably off-heal you most of the time versus casters. Their freedom, like double freedom, can help you enormously, so I feel like Red Warrior could be interesting versus caster cleaves, but I prefer to play with an enhancement shaman, because they gives loads of utility. I prefer to perform versus them. And yeah, comps wise, I think Fury Warrior is probably the most versatile spec to play with classes. Like for example, you can play with the Destruction Warlock, you can play with Elemental Shaman, Boomy even. Kirin Boomy can can boost your versatility, of course. You can play even with a KFC, you can play with a hunter. You can play loads of comps. You can even play with an assassination rogue, and then it's just PvE all the time. And you are not going to Stormbolt, because else you're going to ruin his kidney goes. So you just will play double time, and then you will have insane uptime on the targets. Very nice, very nice. Fury Warrior is probably one of the funniest classes to play, and I recommend to anyone. Okay, now we are going to see the obvious rotations, and then we are going to discuss. Now let's discuss about tier sets right now. The tier set is, the 2 set is deals 10% increased damage against an additional charge, and the 4 set is Raging Blow has a 20% chance to grant Recklessness for 3 seconds. It is insane, because it actually procs also the Reckless Abandon, which gives you extra rage but also more damage. Crushing Blows does a lot more damage than you would think. I would say rotation wise, it is just pressing 1, 2, 3 like a DH, although you have more. Look, it procs, like first Raging Blow, it just procs it, and the damage is insane because you also have a it procs again. You also have a mini charge, so it's actually very good. It is a very good set. Look, I have 47% haste. Yeah, this is insane, man. It's an insane class. 50% haste. Whoa. It is insane. The damage that it can provide without, I didn't pop any CD, not even recklessness. Yeah, I have like 6k, 7k DPS. Anyways, let's discuss about tier sets. Then we can discuss about the rotation and what you want to do to burst. This is probably one of the best tier sets that there is in the game. If Destruction Warlock didn't exist, if Assassination Rogue didn't exist, I think Fury Warriors would be nerfed to the ground, because people will just talk all the time about Fury. Fury is insane. This tier set is the reason why Arms Warrior is not played anymore, because Arms Warrior tier set is quite normalish. It gives you 8% strength. It can be nice. If you have Necrolord, it will give you 28% strength, and then your Mono Strike can hit for 20k easily. But this is reliable. It is always present. Your damage is always here. It gives you an additional charge on your Raging Blow, gives more damage, which also gives you more damage on your talent that you are also using, and also it can reset, And also it can also give you recklessness, which procs reckless abandon, and then you're just set and go, and you can then do a semi burst, so you can fake your burst by doing blade storm. Then you have a mini recklessness again, and then someone will pop CDs, and then you can go, okay, let's go recklessness, okay, let's go conqueror's banner, and you are going to kill people. So yeah, let's talk about the burst rotation. What you want to do is have perma uptime, of course. And what I'm always trying to do is rampage one time, recklessness, stop the blaze storm, and then of course I'm going to go ham. Like now I have like an 8 stack every time. I do Conqueror's Banner, then blaze storm again to improve my damage, because now I have avatar, and the damage is just insane. Look, crushing blows. Like, this is your like burst rotation into a normal rotation to a burst rotation again. Look, boom, 18k, just crushing blow. 18k. Like, so I'm a ranged DPS. Did you see? I did crushing blow. I didn't charge, but this is the range that you had. And then you can also always charge to do a lot of damage, recharge to remove the trinket from destruction warlocks, pummel, and then you can go, of course, ham. So, I know I'm not super clear with my rotation, but still, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a bit more complicated than DH, but it is really not an unholy DK, or it is not a affliction warlock, or it is not a shadow priest. It's really more complicated to play those classes than a fury warrior. Of course, the complicity, the difficulty from fury warriors is tied to intervene, tied to piercing hull whenever you're going to do, tied to stormbolts if you're using stormbolts, intimidating shout, using your conqueror's banner whenever you need, blood rage whenever you need. Those things are actually what you want from a class to perform in a comp. But let's stay and state that Fury Warrior is at this very moment a beast of a class. And yeah, this was my guide. Of course, you can always comment below questions whenever I was not super clear about a subject, and let me know what you think about the guide, and let me know what you think about the Fury Warrior and the meta around Fury Warrior. Is it good? Is it bad? For me, it is a A tier spec, close to S tier even. The more I play Fury Warrior, the more I feel like it is a very, very obnoxious class to play against. The uptime is insane, the damage is insane, feels good to play, feels less good to play against, but it feels impressive. It feels impressive. So thank you for watching this guide. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you like those kind of contents. I'm going to make a lot more guides about the current classes I'm playing. And of course, let me know in the comments below, Reddit, WoW forums, what you think about Fury Warriors. I'm excited to know. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.